When you think of Medusa, what comes to mind? A monstrous creature with snakes for hair, whose gaze turns men to stone? A terrifying villain from Greek mythology? That's the image most of us have, a fearsome beast from the tales of heroes. But what if I told you that this monster was once a beautiful mortal woman? And what if her story isn't one of villainy, but of unimaginable tragedy? Today, we're going to look past the stone gaze and serpentine hair to uncover the heartbreaking story of the woman who became Medusa. This is a tale of beauty, betrayal, and a curse that created one of mythology's most misunderstood figures. Before the curse, before the snakes and the stone, there was a maiden. Her name was Medusa, and she was renowned throughout the land for her breathtaking beauty. Unlike her two sisters, Stheno and Euryale, who were immortal Gorgons from birth, Medusa was born immortal. She had flowing golden hair that shimmered like the sun and eyes so captivating they could hold any gaze. People would travel from all corners of Greece, not just to admire her, but to declare that her beauty rivaled even that of the gods. Specifically, they whispered that her hair was more glorious than that of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare. Medusa, deeply devout and respectful of the gods, dedicated her life to serving Athena. She became a priestess in the goddess's grand temple, the Parthenon in Athens. To hold this sacred position, she took a vow of celibacy, promising to remain a chaste maiden in honor of the virgin goddess she served. Her days were spent in quiet devotion, her life a testament to her faith. She found purpose and safety within the temple's hallowed walls, under the protection of the powerful deity she worshipped. For a time, her life was one of peace and reverence. But in the world of Greek myths, the attention of a god can be a dangerous thing, and Medusa's stunning beauty had not gone unnoticed by those on Mount Olympus. Poseidon, the mighty god of the sea, ruler of earthquakes and storms, was known for his tempestuous nature and his relentless pursuit of those he desired. He laid his eyes on Medusa and was consumed by lust. He pursued her relentlessly, but Medusa, faithful to her vow and her goddess, rejected his advances time and time again. She wanted no part of the sea god's desires. She sought refuge in the one place she felt truly safe, the sacred temple of Athena. She believed that within the sanctum of her patron goddess, no harm could befall her. She was tragically mistaken. Blinded by his arrogance and desire, Poseidon refused to accept her rejection. He saw her flight to the temple not as a plea for sanctity, but as a challenge. In an ultimate act of desecration and violence, he followed her into Athena's temple and assaulted her right there on the cold marble floor, before the very statue of the goddess she had sworn her life to. This was an unforgivable act, a defilement of a sacred space and a brutal violation of a loyal priestess. The crime was committed, the sacred vows were broken, and the temple was forever tainted. But the punishment that followed was not for the perpetrator. It was for the victim. When Athena discovered what had happened in her temple, she was enraged. But her fury was not directed at Poseidon, her rival and fellow Olympian. Perhaps she was unwilling or unable to challenge the powerful sea god directly. Instead, she turned her wrath upon the victim of his crime, her own priestess, Medusa. In Athena's eyes, Medusa was now tainted, her purity lost, her presence a stain upon the holy ground. The vow of celibacy had been broken, and for this, Medusa had to be punished. It was a shocking and cruel twist of justice. The punishment was horrific, a curse designed to strip Medusa of everything she held dear. Athena's first target was the very beauty that had attracted Poseidon's unwanted attention. The goddess transformed Medusa's glorious shimmering hair, the hair that mortals had dared to compare to her own. Each golden strand twisted and writhed, thickening and changing into a nest of venomous, hissing snakes. Her once beautiful face, which had captivated so many, became grotesque and monstrous, contorted by the horror of her transformation. She was no longer a symbol of beauty, but a vision of terror. But the curse went deeper. Athena didn't just take her beauty. She took away her ability to ever connect with another human being again. She twisted Medusa's soft, captivating eyes into a weapon of immense power and destruction. From that moment on, any living creature that looked directly into Medusa's eyes would be instantly turned to stone, their life extinguished and their form frozen for eternity. She was made into a walking instrument of death, her gaze a permanent curse. Imagine the horror. The first person she looked at after her transformation, perhaps a fellow priestess, a friend, a family member, would have turned to a lifeless statue before her very eyes. Her humanity was stolen from her, replaced by a monstrous solitude. This transformation completed her utter isolation. Banished from her home, cast out from society, and feared by all, Medusa was forced to flee to a remote, desolate island at the edge of the world, a place the Greeks called Sarpedon. There, she lived in exile with her two immortal Gorgon sisters, Stheno and Euryale. They too were monstrous in appearance, with brass hands and fangs, but unlike Medusa, they had been born that way. Now, Medusa was one of them, a Gorgon in form, but with the tragic memory of the human life that had been stolen from her. She was a monster made, not born. Her island became a place of dread and death. The shores were littered with the stone figures of men, brave warriors and foolish adventurers who had dared to seek her out. They came seeking glory, hoping to add the head of the famous Gorgon to their list of trophies. They saw only the monster, the challenge, the prize. They did not see the woman trapped inside, a victim of divine cruelty, living in a constant state of grief and fear, unable to look at anything or anyone without destroying them. Her very existence was a paradox, a lonely soul who could never be looked upon, surrounded by the stone reminders of her curse. Each statue was a monument to her tragedy, a testament to her forced isolation. It's this version of Medusa, the terrifying monster in her desolate lair, that becomes the object of a hero's quest. That hero was Perseus, the demigod son of Zeus. He was sent on what was meant to be an impossible mission by a corrupt king, Polydex, who wanted Perseus out of the way so he could force Perseus's mother, Danae, into marriage. The task was to bring back the head of Medusa, an impossible task for any mortal, but Perseus had the gods on his side. Ironically, one of the main deities to aid him was Athena, the very goddess who had cursed Medusa in the first place. Athena, still holding her grudge, provided Perseus with a brightly polished bronze shield. She instructed him not to look at Medusa directly, but to use the shield's reflection as a mirror to guide his way. The god Hermes also helped, giving him a pair of winged sandals to fly to the Gorgon's island, and an adamantine sword, a blade so strong it could cut through anything. Other magical aids included a cap of invisibility from Hades, which would allow him to sneak up on the Gorgons, and a special bag, Kybesis, to safely contain Medusa's head after it was severed, as its petrifying power remained even in death. Guided by the gods and equipped with these magical items, Perseus flew to the Gorgon's island. Using the cap of invisibility, he approached their cave unseen. He found the three Gorgons asleep. Peering into the reflection of his polished shield, he was able to identify Medusa, the only mortal one among them, without meeting her deadly gaze. With a single swift strike of his adamantine sword, Perseus beheaded her. The hero's quest was a success. The monster was slain. But even in death, Medusa's story was not over. From her severed neck, two offspring sprang forth, the children of her violation by Poseidon. The first was Pegasus, a beautiful winged horse that would become a symbol of poetry and inspiration. The second was Chrysaor, a giant or winged boar, often depicted wielding a golden sword. Her body gave birth to beauty and strength, a final poignant reminder of the life and potential that had been so cruelly taken from her. Perseus placed her head in the special bag and made his escape. Even after death, Medusa's power was used by others. Perseus used her petrifying gaze as a weapon on his journey home, turning his enemies including King Polydex, to stone. He saved the Princess Andromeda from a sea monster by showing it the Gorgon's head. He used a woman's trauma, weaponized by one god, as a tool for his own heroic deeds. Finally, he returned the head to its original tormentor, Athena. The goddess then mounted the head onto her shield, or some say her aegis, a protective cloak. The face of the woman she had so terribly wronged became her symbol of power, a terrifying emblem to ward off her enemies. A final, bitter irony. So, when we look at the story of Medusa, what do we see? A monster or a victim? Her tale is a powerful commentary on injustice, on the abuse of power, and on how victims are often blamed and punished for the crimes committed against them. She was a devout woman whose beauty became her downfall, whose trauma was twisted into a monstrous curse, and whose legacy was cemented as one of horror. Her story forces us to question the classic hero and monster narrative. Was Perseus really the hero for killing a tormented, isolated woman? Was Athena just in her punishment? Medusa's story is a tragedy, a reminder that behind every monster, there might just be a broken heart and a story that the world has refused to hear.